The story of Conahey Rail continues in 2017, which I started getting into doing scenery that year more than adding any more trains or more layout. I added ballast to all the guardrails track, but making sure that in case I wanted to change these track plans later, I made it so the track was, or the ballast was all removable. And if you look through these photos, I also am adding more scenery such as shrubbery, and it seems to make the scenery come alive a lot more. And it drives me to do more towards the scenery for the year 2017 as I move along. And then I'm still adding details to parking lots, and I'm buying die-cast cars. The cars on Conahey Rail are all 143 scale. The trucks are 150 scale. And in this section, you can see I'm also adding shrubbery and scenery to this end as well, which is still 054 at that time. And now we're going to take close-up detailed looks at the buildings and structures that I have and how I'm progressing to add on Conahey Rail, adding different trucks. This is a 150 scale truck, for example, in this particular picture. And then we go to those are 143 scale cars. I'm also changing buildings into buildings that were in my town or around my surrounding town at one point in time or another. So these names that you're seeing are not the original names on the buildings. The buildings you see featured on Conahey Rail are both made by Lionel and MTH on this particular part of the layout. Here is an MTH bank, for example, but that's the Lionel flag with lights. And then we continue on. That's the Lionel building that I put up. And then this is a Lionel diner that features a full detailed interior. One of the few structures that have full interior by Lionel. And then you can see that this I'm still changing names. And then here's a scene, a chart scene. I'm starting to add figures now, and you wouldn't believe the prices of some of this stuff between figures and die-cast vehicles. So it can get just as expensive to add die-cast figures and or die-cast vehicles and figures as well as adding trains or track or building more platforms. So and here's a UPS facility as well, and I'm hoping you're enjoying these pictures as I go through them with you during the 2017 era. I added a new Conrail SD38 to the roster of Conahey Rail. Let's take a look at this wonderful locomotive in action with its distinctive turbo noise.
You're clear to pull. Over. Copy that, dispatcher. I'm green. Out.
Here is my new Lionel Conrail SD38 running across freshly ballasted track on the section of Conahey Rail. As you can see, there are backdrops now, shrubbery and trees throughout the layout, and it will wind around, and currently the layout is still 054 at this time, and so the train winds around at 054 curve there. It's coming down the back stretch behind the houses, and this is the suburban area of Conahey Rail, where there's houses and where people live. So it rounds the suburban area, then it heads back towards the more industrial area of Conahey Rail, going through Horseshoe Curve at this point in time, and then it heads into the new section of Conahey Rail, which I just started in 2017. This section of Conahey Rail was actually started at the end of 2016, but construction continued well into 2017. And here you can see currently it's only a 4x8 area, but I do add on to it, and I will slip into a video here. And here is my SD38 running across now completed platform in the room. So now it's quite longer than the original 4x8 I had started in 2017. And it rounds 054 curve here. That bridge later had to be removed because, as you can see, there's curves going in and out of it. And when I bought the larger trains, such as the SD80 Mac, they would not make it through that bridge without hitting it. So I will be planning to build a custom bridge for that later on. My next purchase for 2017 was this Lionel Legacy Conrail SD60M. Let's take a look at this wonderful locomotive in action. By the end of 2017, I started detailing the new section of Conahey Rail, which is in a separate room. This part of the Conahey Rail, all the structures are kits and were all assembled and painted. Nothing here is pre-made. I started to ballast the track as well in this section, and this section also features Gargray's track. And you can see I started adding more scenery, such as the grassy areas to Conahey Rail, as well as die-cast vehicles. And once again, the buildings are all kits, such as a Meritown, a Corber, and other kits that I found that I really wanted to build and have something different on my layout. And here we have the SD60M running through that new section. That there is a Corber silo kit available from Mr. Muffins. Next to it is a Lionel grain elevator. That was a kit as well. These all had to be painted and assembled with glue. And I created a grain yard for grain trains, and that is Farmingdale, part of Conahey Rail. And so the SD60M comes around on the other side, and at this current time in 2017, once again it's all 054, and I do create switching operations on the Farmingdale grain elevator facility as well. So a GP30 now switches and cars in and out of the grain facility. And here we are going around another 054 curve section. I wanted to model a farming scene. So we have a farmhouse and a farmall tractor, I believe, plowing the field, and then we have a hemi-cruiser, of course, waiting for the train to go by, because this is basically the mid-70s. And the crystal ice, once again, is an Ameritown kit. That was actually a building that was in my town at one time. The crystal ice is long gone, but I wanted to have things and buildings that were familiar to me on my own layout that I remember being in my town. And the cargo train goes by there, Crystal Ice. Although I do show a Lionel SD60M going through the new section of Conahey Rail that is ballasted. The ballast work did not start until 2018, which will be included on the 2018 narrated video. But that's for another video. Thanks for watching another Conahey Rail narrated video. Come again.